everyone. Back we are again for another chat. Let me fix my chair. Yes. Back we are again for another wonderful chat with our wonderful, talented, international filmmakers. We have people today who are joining from Helsinki, from New York, from Chicago, from New Zealand. Oh my God, this is quite a team. So before I bring them on, let me tell you something about the Socially Relevant Film Festival, which has been in existence for 9 years now. This is our 9th annual edition. And we are going to talk about the films that are in this selection. We have 64 films from 39 countries, and they are shorts, narrative features, documentaries, and we also have a script writing competition. So we will be able to talk to the filmmakers about their films. The Socially Relevant Film Festival is one of the festivals, rare festivals as far as I know, that exclusively focuses on social issues. It does not show any other type of films. It has a mission, which is to shine the spotlight on films and filmmakers who tell socially relevant stories that deal with one or other social issue. So the purpose behind it, the idea came to me when I was getting sick and tired of seeing violence on and off screen. It was not so much violence that you see in movies, because if you don't like violent, you are able to avoid them. You don't go to the cinema to see the violent films in question. But what I'm talking about is the aggressive invasion of your private space as you're walking down the street and there is a big billboard or a poster on a bus or something with guns and Kalashnikovs and other forms of violence and people running away in situations of panic, and it's really horrible. That is something that is not what, it really disturbed me, I have to say. Because I strongly believe that violence breeds violence, and it's not really something that I would like to advocate. We are talking here, of course, about gratuitous violence. If you're showing a film that deals with a very important social issue where a form of violence is somehow involved, that's fine. But we're talking about films that delve into that and make that the core of the narrative. Also, personally, a terrible incident happened, violent murder, which took away the lives of very dear people to me, and it was a hate crime. And I wanted to do something to commemorate their memory by forming something that was meaningful. Initially, it was an idea to do a festival about nonviolent films, but then that evolved into the festival that we have now, which covers all sorts of social issues. The festival opens March 16, which is like very, very close. It's in 11 days from the recording or the broadcast of this show at the Lincoln Center's Elinor, Bunin, Munroe Film Center. That's our opening night. Then the next day, we have Meet the Filmmakers in person, which is just like now we are doing now, except they will be there in person to talk on a panel and answer your questions and mingle with you and exchange information. That is happening at the Lebanese American University on the 17th, March 17th. And we are co-hosted by the Lebanese American University and the Kevorkian Center at NYU. The next day, 18th, 19th, 20th, it's the weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We move to Cinema Village in the village, and we showcase films that are screening in person on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, pretty much all day. And the filmmakers, most of them are going to be present to do Q&As after the screening, along with designated persons. On Sunday, it's not the closing, but it's the awards ceremony where the jury brings in their results and tells us who the winners are in each of the categories: short, narrative short, documentary, and narrative feature, as well as the script writing competition. And then at the same time, on the 20th through the 27th, most of the films, pretty much everyone except 4 or 5 titles, move online, so that if you are not in New York, you can still catch them when the films go online. So without further ado, let me not bore you further with this. You can also, I'm gonna give you the contact information about the website where you can find all this information. I will bring the filmmakers on and we will talk to them. Hello, everyone. This is great to see you. So let's go quickly in a quick round and introduce yourselves, talk about your film, and tell us something about it quickly. And then we'll come back and discuss them more in depth. So you want to start, Seth?
Hi, my name is Seth McClellan, and my film is an hour-long documentary called Others Before Self, and it chronicles a school for Tibetan refugee children in northern India and the Indian Himalayas, and the kids articulate their political situation and the history of Tibet and the annexation of Tibet, and they also talk about the philosophy of the school and how their philosophy preserves and reflects the Tibetan tradition.
Yeah, that is very, very interesting. And we're going to have a chat afterwards about this. The film is fascinating because it's from the point of view of the youth who have been affected by the displacement and what is being done to preserve the culture. So Rachel, tell us about yourself and your film. Oh, you're mute, Rachel. Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm muted now?
Yes, that's
okay, good. Hi, my name is Rachel Annette Helson, and my film is called Don't Despair. It's a short film that is set during, it was made in 2020, set during lockdown. And it's about a man who's struggling with addiction and isolation and how he forms a relationship with his neighbor who lives in the apartment across the way, and how he finds hope through that relationship.
Yep. That is very interesting. Always the personal story when it interferes with the major social. In this festival, I steer away from individual stories that focusing on the person, unless they are a window for us to look at the larger social implication. Exactly. So Rax, you are joining us from Helsinki all the way. So tell us about your film. You're muted too. Can we have your camera, your mic? Yeah. Yeah, fine.
Okay. I am Rax Rinnekangas. I'm from Helsinki. My film is titled Hospital, a Daughter's Mother. It takes a place in one of the oldest mental hospitals of the world, just in the heart of city Helsinki. It's a drama about the rendezvous or meeting between a mother and a daughter who haven't met for almost 4 decades. After the mother had left the daughter in the platform of a railway station just in the beginning of the Second World War, and she had left to the other part of Europe, and now she's returning and coming to meet her daughter, who is a psychiatrian doctor in the mental hospital. So it's a drama about the meeting of two totally unknown women in architectonic the beauty of of a madhouse.
Yeah, actually, what struck me, it was the parallels, the mental institution that you have picked, and it says in the description that it's the oldest in Europe. Is that it?
One of the oldest in the world.
Yeah. What is the name? Can you say it?
Lapinlahti.
Lapinlahti,
Yes.
the institute, is a character in this film.
Absolutely, it is a living character because
Yeah.
the soul of the hospital is very active also.
Exactly. And if you think about all the mentally disturbed people that have been through it, and then you have this relationship between the mother and the daughter, and the black and white starkness of the picture. I mean, I was so blown away with it. And I mean, everybody, all of these films, I suggest all the filmmakers, we're going to give you passes for the online section because it's going to be difficult during the few days that we are in person to run in and out of the cinema and see each other's films. But you have a whole week after that at the comfort of your own homes to watch each other's films. And it's such an incredible experience to see how diverse these films are, how wide the spectrum of the the Helsinki, the Lapinlahti Institute, and the mother-daughter relationship, and the reserved acting and all that. It's one complete contrast to Seth's film, who the youngsters are all involved and they're talking about what they're doing, to Linda's film, which we're going to find out about in a second, and to Rachel's film, which makes it all so interesting as a bouquet, as a complete bouquet. Okay, Linda, tell us.
Hi, so my film Poppy is about a teenage girl with a little bit extra, and that's the chromosome that causes Down syndrome. But this doesn't hold her back. She just wants the same as everyone else her age, 19. She wants to have a driver's license, a career, a boyfriend, and a flat, and not necessarily in that order.
Yeah, that's another one. And what I need to mention in a relation to Linda's film is that it was the winner of the best script in our first year script writing competition. When we first started, we did the first script writing competition, and Linda won. And she came all the way from New Zealand to New York, and it was amazing. And then after all these years, now we suddenly see, oh my God, it's a film now. It exists. And I'm going to ask her questions later. So we go to the next question, the big question. How did the idea of this film come about, and where did it start? I mean, and you can address that question as broadly as you want. If you don't want to talk about the idea, talk about other interesting elements about it. Yeah, go in a row again.
Seth? All right. Okay. Yeah. So my last documentary, my last feature documentary was called Little Wounds Warriors, and it was about Native young people on Pine Ridge Indian Reservation in South Dakota. And it kind of took a similar approach in that I used the young people's experience and their words to articulate their history and the challenges that they were facing as a community. They were in the midst of a suicide epidemic amongst the young people there at the time. And so that project coming together and getting a good response left me really interested and intrigued by looking at, geopolitical problems, social problems, and also how communities band together and heal themselves amidst great adversity, which is what the young people on Pine Ridge on the Native reservation were discussing. And so that kind of opened me up to the idea of trying to talk about another community that was also preserving their culture, preserving their traditions. And then by happenstance, I ran into a person who's become a good friend of mine at a local bar here, right? While we were waiting to pick up our kids from school, and we, started talking. And he has Mark Redensdorf is a longtime activist and supporter of the Tibetan movement, and specifically Tibetan Children's Village, which is this really remarkable place that the film is about. And then the film really delves into the philosophy of it and the necessity of it, and how in the midst of intense challenges coming from China's invasion and annexation, and the Chinese Communist Party's attempt to stamp out Tibetan culture, that these children and Tibetan Children's Village have really kept the culture alive. And so my film tries to really celebrate that, and also, show some of the really remarkable young people in that community, and the ways that they are empowering themselves and keeping their traditions alive.
Yeah, it's really interesting. What struck me in your film is, despite the fact that they're talking about exile, displacement, uprootedness, keeping the culture, there was a joy, and I couldn't miss that. The children, and of course, I guess children are everywhere. I mean, even refugee children, I hate to say, they do find the joy in things. And of course, now this situation with the war in Ukraine and the refugee situations and everybody being displaced, always the same story. It's like an invader comes, moves the people out, tries to eradicate their culture, erase them from existence. And then, of course, instead of that happening, that succeeding, it creates the opposite effect. And the culture decides that, no, wait a minute, we're not going anywhere. We have to keep ourselves alive. And it creates another. We have a section this year, which is quite strong, populated, about indigenous cultures. And we have 5 different examples of those situations. And now that you're describing this, I did not put yours in that category, but suddenly it could also fit in there. Because we have the Canadian First Nations, we have Native Americans, we have the Chagosians, we have the Artsakh, the people of Artsakh in Armenia, with 2 years ago, over 6,000 people died and phosphorus bombs were dropped on civilians and all that, but nobody said anything about it. And now everybody's up in arms because it's Ukraine and so on and so forth. But that's another commentary. And also we have, so it's all these situations. And the Western Sahara people, we also have that. It's all of these films, all of these situations show Native people, indigenous people linked to a particular land who have been driven away from there, who have taken refuge somewhere else, and who are against all odds trying to keep their culture alive. So it's very, very powerful. And Rachel, what about you? How did your idea come about?
Well, it was like I mentioned during the lockdown in 2020. And I was thinking about, everyone was isolated. And I was thinking about the healing power of human connection and the simplicity of just being able to see and talk to people during the day, and how much that affected me as a human and us as a culture. And so I had wanted to make a film, and by chance there was a writer named Matt Servillo who reached out to me, who we had met at a film festival the year before at Studio Fest, and he emailed me the script and said, I think this would be great for you to make. Because it was during the lockdown, we were, my husband is an actor, and so I was behind the camera, filming him during the making of this process. And it was really the two of us making it together. So we did not have a crew. When I am also in the film, when one of us is on camera, the other one is behind the camera and shooting it. It was all made very simply. And because first of all, there were restraints on filming, but secondly, I wanted it to reflect the kind of isolated world that we were living in at the time. And it really deals with specifically the lead character, Dave, who is played by my husband, he is an alcoholic, and it goes through a lot of challenges living in such isolation, and how that affects his ability to deal with his addiction. And he meets a woman through the window who lives across the way in the apartment building, and they speak to each other, and because of their relationship and because of the connection that they form with each other, they're able to kind of get each other through a more difficult time without ever being in the same room. So that is kind of where the inspiration for that came from, and how that came about.
Yeah, it's very interesting because last year and the year before, the last couple of years, we were obliged, obviously, had no choice to go online. So this is the first year we're coming back as a, hybrid festival, some in-person screenings and all of the films, except a few, online. And since last year, we already introduced a category about films that deal with lockdown, that are about COVID, that were filmed during quarantine, and so on and so forth. And you cannot imagine the diversity and the creativity that people came up with. And they made whatever, it's life gives you lemons, make lemonade sort of situation. And we have a category called Lockdown, a group of shorts that are going to screen on Sunday. And in that, we put the films that were either made with impossible situations, like one person filming the other, and so on. I did a workshop like that in Paris in December 2020. 2021, just last December. I'm an actress, first of all, let me say that. I did a casting workshop in Paris. Unlike the American casting, or I don't know how it is in New Zealand or Helsinki, where the casting director comes and talks for 1 hour about themselves and how they do casting, and then you get 1 minute with them, so you can see if in 1 minute you can do what they did in 1 hour. So
you've got to have a nice elevator speech there.
Yeah, tell yourself and impress them or whatever. But this other one in Paris was over 10 days.
Oh, wow.
8 hours a day. You're spending 2 full days with each casting director.
Oh, wow.
So they really get to know them, and they really get to know you, and they can help you. They can say, oh, let's go, do it this way, do it that way, and so on. And it was incredible learning experience. The only problem was that it had to be in person, of course. Everybody was masked. How can you do a casting thing with masks on? Except the person who was being filmed.
Oh, okay.
So everyone, even if you have 2 actors in the scene, and one is the actor and the other one is giving them the lines, the one giving them the lines was also masked.
Oh, wow.
It was a funny experience, but we did it, and it was a lot of fun. So, Max, coming to you, I have a burning question. I'm going to go from
near the fire. Yes.
First that, before you go into how it started and all that, or maybe you can start with that, but tell us something about the casting as well, because as an actor, that is one thing that really, really interests me. So how did your idea come about, and where did it start, and all that, but also the casting issue?
All right. Yeah. Okay. I think so that life itself doesn't have capacity to understand itself. It's a like an absurd thing, but it is like that. And I had been thinking before I became to make this film that, okay, any father and son have a like a historical repeating story. We know what man can become. He can become a soldier or an engineer or a police or a politic, something very, very, very concrete. And usually, father and son creating relationship, they are doing something together. So it's not whole truth, but let us say it this way. On the other hand, mother and daughter, they are much more multi-complexive, multi-floor relationship. And they are two women who can produce good boys who will become good men, etc. But how it could be if a mother and a daughter haven't been able for any reason to get to know each others, and after a long time they meet one day like this. So could how do you say, the core of the mother's inner life, could it get contact to the daughter? Could it be possible? It has been said that at the age of 41 minutes, a baby begins to repeat his or her mother at the age of 41 minutes.
Well,
So,
do you mean to say like when the baby
repeat expressions and so on. So
from the moment it's born, 41 minutes later it starts?
Absolutely. It is the latest
Wow.
record or investigation. So let us imagine a mother loses daughter at the age of 4 years, and they will meet again after 36 years. It comes like a flash from the sky for a daughter, because the mother has decided to find her little baby back. But what will happen, let us say, during the real time, 4 or 5 hours? And in my film is about that. And the place is very extraordinary. It is a mental hospital on a winter day. It is not a copy of the Miles Forman Cuckoo's Nest.
No.
We are not interested of the patients. We are interested of the psychiatrian doctor who is a daughter and an author who is a mother. So how two energies with aggression, hatred, love, longing, all the spicy ketchup and mustards and whatever fucking there are, how can they come out? What form everything will take?
Yeah.
And can there happen finally kind of not a forgiveness, but like a let us say like between Vladimir Putin and Ukrainian president, understanding. Understanding. Why did you go? Why didn't you come back earlier? Why now? Why today? So I decided to make it in the mental hospital because in my youth I worked as a nurse in a mental hospital one winter. No education. It was possible a long time ago in Lapland of this country. I come from Lapland. I am not a Lappish, but I was born there. So that way it all went to the point when I started to write the script, and on that moment I wanted to see the characters. Who are they? Who is mother and who is the daughter? I went to the catalog catalog of the actresses,
Oh, yes.
and I just realized there was a Swedish actress Ylva Ekblad, who is very, very well-known theater actress, not in the cinema, but something in her look, in the way, something in the way you look tonight, you know. It took me, and I contacted her, and we had a dinner in a restaurant or some drinks and so on, and our talking like confirmed that no other. She had this. She was a little bit afraid to play a bad mother in a way, but I said, no, you are just a good bad mother. So,
That's a good one.
yes, and the daughter, I already knew her, Minna Haapkylä, who has been in French movies and in many Finnish movies and in a theater plays and so called. So I only telephoned her, and would you like to be a daughter who has been left in a railway station at the age of 4? So it started that way.
Yeah, well, that's very interesting because, of course, the casting process in Europe and casting process in America are completely different things.
I think it's so. There is an anecdote that Ingmar Bergman and David Lean had an evening in Cannes, a festival in a long time ago, and David Lean asked Ingmar Bergman that, Ingmar, with how many people you are making your films? And he said, well, with 15 friends. And David Lean, oh, I am doing with 150 enemies.
Oh my God! Oh my God! It's so revealing. It's so revealing.
So I am not Ingmar Bergman's son, but I come a little bit from that direction.
Yeah, I wanted to tell you that you are the combination of Aki Kaurismäki and Ingmar Bergman. I don't mean to compare. That's not what I'm saying. But
no.
It struck me in your film the minimalism, and I think maybe it has to do. Maybe is that a Finnish thing? Like
no, it's not Finnish thing. The majority of the Finnish cinema is willing to be very, very, very commercial for big mass audiences. That means the films must look totally different than, for example, this hospital film. This looks like a chamber play in a way, because it's no one is hunting with a knife. Someone
exactly. I mean, you're talking about a mental institution, and there are no other patients there. Which
they have just they are only the sounds.
The people you need, only the people you need. And it also brings me back images from Aki Kaurismäki's film Beyond the Clouds. He needs a situation, a scene where he needs a desk in an office. It's an office situation. They have to make a phone call from the office. There is nothing in the office except the desk and the phone. Why do you need anything else?
It is the way how we, in a way, my kind of director who is out of the totally of the main picture.
Yeah,
I don't have big finances, so have to be more inventional than creative.
And it works because you're telling the story. If you can tell the story, doesn't matter if you. And in the hospital, why do I care to know there are books on the wall, there are patients running down the corridors, there is noises and stuff? Why do I need all that? All I need is the relationship between these two women. And that's what.
Yes, so it was that way. How it maybe we can call it. Yes.
Yeah. So Linda, you're also, there is a casting situation here that we are dealing with, if you notice. Seth,
Yes.
maybe yours has some kind of casting as well, because you chose those youth in a way. But
Yes.
being a documentary, it's not as involved as, let's say, Rachel's film or Rax's or Linda. Linda has a very interesting casting story as well. But let's ask her how the whole idea came about, and then we'll segue to that.
Okay. So the idea came about from a story someone told me, and then I developed that into a short story. But the short story wasn't about Poppy as the main character. It was told from her love interests perspective. And then as I thought, well, this could go into a film, you know, this idea about a young woman wanting her own life and her independence could be a larger idea. And I developed it into a film, you know, a screenplay, as Nora said, and, you know, decided to see whether something like Socially Relevant would understand the idea or think it was worthy. You have to sort of test these things sometimes. And yes, absolutely, it came across well. But over the years this film took a very long time to make because it wasn't funded. In New Zealand, we have one funding body. We have no independent investors. So you have to rely on one, organisation to get your funding to make your film. So yes, the story developed. I had 3 different producers over the 10 or so years that it took, and they all had slightly different ideas about it. And we worked with a lot of consultants to get the story to the place that it was and went into production. So yeah, it was also, and I was inspired by the young women I got to know over the period of developing the film. One was called Poppy, and she was absolutely fantastic, but she grew too old for the role, unfortunately. So we did a national casting call because we had the funding, and we had 22 young women with Down syndrome come forward, all with fabulous capabilities and original, just great young women. And then the casting process ceased, and we thought we had our Poppy. But then the grandmother of Libby Hunsdale, who plays the role, got in touch. And so what I did then was go and meet this other potential Poppy, and it clicked really straight away. She was such a performer. She was the Poppy that I'd imagined, and tiny little thing, but just full of energy, and not a trained actor, but an actor that, a person that could be developed into that because of her interest in theatre and dance, and her just unstoppable energy. And yeah, so that's how Poppy came to be.
That is fascinating, because when I watched Poppy, I could see that she's so natural and she's so giving, and all the, I don't know, or the positive energy. There is so much for any actor to learn in that.
Yes.
And also Rax's film. As an actor, I also, when I'm doing the selection, I'm also, especially with the narratives, I'm watching for the acting, because a film could be very socially relevant, the production values could be all there, but if the acting is not quite it, then it will ruin the thing for you if it's a narrative. And even the documentaries, you're making choices of the characters. They're not actors, but at the end, they are going to portray your idea of whatever the film is about. And if they are not your good spokespeople or your good ambassadors, the message will not come across. How did you select your participants, Seth?
Well, I think I started out as an actor, and I still do a little bit of acting.
I belong here.
I belong here. Uh, I've also directed a narrative feature, and I've produced some narrative features too. But I mean, I think that performance is performance, and that that capturing a performance and that capturing truth and human connection on film is not that different in in a documentary or in a fictional film. So I think in some ways it's more similar than we think.
Yeah.
So what I'm looking for, particularly with the kind of style of documentary that Others Before Self is, and that Little Wounds Warriors, my last feature documentary, I'm really looking for just these really deeply truthful, connected moments, and then I'm looking to string different voices of children together, all kind of like talking and kind of finishing each other's sentences. But I'm very much looking at performance. And I'm very much looking at how, like it's in the same way that, watching a scene of acting, you're looking like, are they emotionally connected? Are they compelling? Are they truthful? I think it's the same thing with a nonfiction documentary film.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, because the film has to first and foremost represent an entertainment value. At the end of the day, yes, we are dealing with social issues. Yes, we want but this is cinema. It's not a university where we are lecturing about these social issues, and it's not lobbying about the social issues, but we are entertainment first and foremost.
Yeah, and I think that I actually, like, the way to create social change is through human connection. And that's
Absolutely.
the business that we're in, that we're entertaining people, but it's entertainment in the service of being like, we are deeply connected. We actually are deeply connected.
Yeah.
And that's what we're trying to convey.
Yeah, totally. Let me read some of the comments that our viewers have put. Tom Helbert says, hello, thank you for hosting this, and to the filmmakers for joining. So it's not quite a question, but they're happy to hear you. Dirk Robertson says, great stuff. And I think for now, that's it. So we might have more comments as we go along. So come back to more questions for you. This time, let's keep it a bit more fluid and not go like a school. Okay, it's your turn, and then it's your turn.
Okay.
So feel free to jump in and finish off of each other. What is your next project? What are you? It could very well be that your next project is to promote this film. It might be just that, or it could very well be something new, or whatever it is. Just can you share it with us? Whoever wants to jump in.
Okay, I will.
Yeah.
So over the long time of developing Poppy, that wasn't the only project that I worked on. So over that time, I've developed 10 more sort of feature film scripts, and hopefully get one of those off the ground. And I'm also looking at adaptation. That's something that really interests me. We have a lot of fine young adult novelists in New Zealand, and a couple of them are friends. They've got some great books that are worthy of the screen, I would say. And also I have a very old, my first film ever, called The Tear Collector, which was set in New York. I have written the screenplay as a novella, so I'm hoping to get something happening with that.
Wow, that is fascinating. I want to hear about the one that happens in New York.
Wow. Yeah,
I mean, not because of, of course, I'm always interested from an actor point of view, but I must also tell you that I'm also a producer. Ta-da! Another hat that I wear and have worn in the past, and in the future, hopefully will. I've had a feature film that was in Cannes in the official selection.
Wow.
Un certain regard, way back when. And I still have my French production company, and here in New York, I'm developing a short film, which has just yesterday, I got the message that's going to be shot in Armenia, and we got a message that it has gone through the second phase of the committee, the main funding body. And now the third is they do an interview with the filmmaker, and unless the filmmaker is totally cuckoo or nuts and doesn't know what they're talking about, hopefully we pass that stage as well, and we can get to shoot the film. So so that's why I am interested, and I'm kind of going more into that direction as well. So who else wants to tell us about their next film? Or might be stage, or it might be, I want to start a factory, or
So I guess I'll go. I work mostly as a director for hire. So I've made like I directed a Lifetime movie last summer is when it came out. It was like one of the Lifetime thrillers. And then I have a few more like TV movie directing opportunities that I'm on some folks' slate coming up this year. And there's one that's like a romance novel that I have that a production company has talked to me about adapting to direct. So that's kind of that's kind of what I'm up to.
that is cool. I love the adaptation things. How you adapt a novel, obviously, because it's not, you don't take chapter one and interior chapter one, he goes there. You have to think outside the box.
Yeah.
You have to take the novel as a whole instead of into the bits and pieces. One time I had the similar kind of experience. I adapted William Saroyan's Papa, You're Crazy, which is a full novel of, I don't know, 200 pages or something. And I made it into a one-man show.
Oh, wow.
And it turned out to be quite successful because in it, Saroyan is talking to his 10-year-old son. And in the preface, he says, I'm looking at you now and I'm putting myself back when I was 10 years old and your age. And I'm writing you this now so that one day you read it and you see, and it's talking about the period of the time where the boy came to live with him. And he's trying to write his work and is encouraging the kid to become a writer as well at the same time.
Oh, that's great.
It's so beautiful. So this vision came to me that the boy comes in wearing the same trench coat and hat that Saroyan is very well known for, hangs them. And I said, imagine that you've just buried your father and you're coming and you are remembering that time when the two of you shared together. Of course, that's not in the novel, but when I found that image, the rest was very easy.
Yeah.
And then you had to pick and choose what he remembers, what he doesn't remember. He cannot remember 200 pages because it's going to be 5 hours, one-man show. It doesn't work. But we picked and chose, and then it, So a lot of instinct goes into this, I am realizing. And from what you guys are telling me, confirming that gut, go to your gut.
Yes.
Who else wants to tell us about their next film or project or whatever? Rax, I know you have things up your sleeve.
All right. Nora, I'm coming to New York and I feel you will be my next new best friend.
Oh,
Great.
I will, if you allow me to knock your mental tour when I'm there. Well, I don't want to tell too much, but we have something going on under the thematic of human mind about increasing sexual violence among the youngsters, and it is based on a true event experience of my own life. But it's another thing. Then we have a manuscript done. We have a beautiful story, adaptation story of Peter Handke, Nobel Prize winner, about a man who is on his journey in northern Spain and looking for a jukebox. to put a song to play and to be able to go over his father's memory of his youth,
Wow.
and on the other hand, to something about the jukebox. And for that, I would like to find an American partner. It's a very low budget film, a minimalistical, been able to done. We have a casting, we have a team. Only one actress is missing, and that could be American too, like a Carol, you know. I will fly to meet you.
Well,
Don't escape.
yeah, this is interesting because recently we're developing a couple of films. One of them, funnily enough, not it didn't come from your example, Linda, particularly, but maybe it did. Maybe subliminally in my head, it moved something. That here you go, the winner of our first year has come back with a film. Why don't we encourage that and look back at the scripts that have been submitted to us and see if there is one in there that lends itself easily without huge budgets, because obviously we don't have that money, but you know, we can be creative and find partners who might, with a little bit from here, a little bit from there. I am good at that. I have done films with shoestring or no string budget.
Yes, yes.
So we could find that. And right now we are working on one of those that was a winner at one of the years. And we are trying to get that together. And I would love to talk to all of you about projects and things, because part of the reason why we made this festival is to create this networking platform and create a family where people can go back and collaborate together, find partners, find inspiration, and yeah, we all belong together now. That's it. We've married. That's it. Right. Okay. Any next project?
Yeah, so I'm my next big like feature documentary will probably be kind of the third in this sort of trilogy of young people's voices, but this time in Owsley, Kentucky, which is in Appalachia, and is a very you know, a county with a lot of challenges, very rural and really swept up in the opioid epidemic. And also a place where there are some really remarkable young people who are like doing really great work and just have these, you know, vivid, beautiful voices. And so that'll probably be my next really big project. But then I also, I teach at Triton College, I teach film, and I also like I'm a filmmaker for hire. And I'm producing a documentary right now about universal basic income in Gary, Indiana. And we actually just got picked up for funding by PBS, which is really great. And then also I'm finishing up a big I'm the video component of this big oral history project that you should all check out. The Heart of All Oral History Project, a Lakota oral history. It's this big like 7-part, 7-hour audio series. Told from the point of view of the Lakota. You know, it's their voices. It's all like Lakota
Fantastic.
voices. And I'm like the video part of it. So that's a National Endowment for Humanities supported project. And we're just about to launch a bunch of like kind of a video overview and, you know, different like video elements to support this really important oral history.
That is fascinating. Two things I need to say about your project. The oral history, way back when I first came to the United States, I worked on an oral history project like that. It was with eyewitness accounts of survivors of the Armenian genocide. At the time, they were still living. Of course, now they would be 120 years old or something. So there aren't any more left. And because I'm fluent in Armenian, amongst other languages, I speak a bunch of myself. So I would sit there with the earphones, listen to the Armenian, and type out the English. but that was one of the oral history projects that I worked on, and it was very, very, very powerful. Those eyewitness accounts that they told at night. I would have nightmares and imagine these things that it was, but very, very important to preserve this memory. And because once the people are gone, then all those stories go with them. The other one, universal basic income, you should connect with one of our filmmakers who is screening her film on Friday at 5 p.m. It's called My Yang Gang Diary. It's Ching Ju, and she has followed the Andrew Yang presidential campaign. That's what the film is about. And there is a huge part of it, of course, that deals with universal basic income. And I'm sure she would be delighted to talk to you. She's done a lot of work in that. And so here you go, another commonality.
Seth, I'm also from Kentucky, so if you need anything, and when you're down in Kentucky,
what part of Kentucky are you from?
I'm from Louisville,
nice.
But yeah. I have family scattered throughout the state.
Yeah, I was just down there to kind of try to see if this might work out. And such a lovely area. We're kind of down Owsley County. I don't know if you know where it is, but it's kind of more like by Berea and stuff. It's kind of that neck of the woods. So yeah, thank you.
Sure.
Yeah, this is cool. So and then of course, Linda, when you come to New York, you have already a platform. You have already a network of people. So
yes, I really appreciate being part of this family, because I did have another short film, I think The Handkerchief, which was in another edition. So so it's been a few times I've met Nora now. So that's great.
Yes, we did a talk the other day, pretending like it's right after her screening, and we're doing a Q&A because she's not going to be here. So we're going to play that after the screening, so the audience get to have a feel of the. Unfortunately, I cannot rely on internet in the cinema. It's too complicated to set it up to do a live Zoom. But I felt okay. At least they get a feel of the filmmaker. Well, we have a couple more minutes. Let me show some banners, which I got carried away and I didn't do my job. I didn't tell the people also that we have $7 only early bird tickets, which I have extended now until the 10th of March. So please rush back and purchase the $7. And you cannot decide which films you want to see. I got a better solution for you. Get the $75 all access pass, and then you can see anything and everything as many times as you like. You can come to the parties, you can network with us, you can have happy hours and see a lot of films and filmmakers. So that's my bit of commercial advertising, and and we'll be back after these messages. So if anybody wants to throw in anything about whatever you want to talk about, your dog, your cat, your postman.
Nora, I just want to thank you so much for organizing the festival and for all the communication and all the really hard work I know that goes into bringing people together and celebrating the kind of films that we're all making. And I know it can be challenging sometimes, so I want to just really thank you and let you know how much I think all of us really just deeply appreciate the work you're doing, and that we're proud and excited to be involved.
Thank you so much. It energizes me. It does. Yes, Rax, you were saying?
All what you have told about the reasons why you have created your festival, I think you are telling all filmmakers' thoughts. Because when I was looking for a home for my hospital film in the film-free way, I don't know how many years ago, 4 years, I something like that, I recognized the socially relevant film festival, and your festival was like my target, that if I can make the film, I will absolutely offer it to you. So now the mouse has found the mountain. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you, Nora.
Thank you, because I keep saying it's the filmmakers that make the festival. Like, you know, you cannot have a film festival without filmmakers or without good films. That goes without saying. I mean, also, I always like to thank our festival team. This is not a one-woman show. I cannot do it by myself. We receive close to 500 submissions, and there's no way I can sit down and watch everything, which I do eventually, but we have a selection committee at the beginning where go to the films and they decide yes, no, maybe. Of course, no is because they miss the point. It's the horror film. It doesn't fit in here, or or there's guns and violence, and you know the person didn't bother to read what this festival is about, or it's a great idea talking about a very important social issue, but the production values are not good. It doesn't quite tell the story properly. So those go out. And then we concentrate on the maybes to see what is happening. Just keep them aside for a second. Go into the yeses and let the filmmakers tell us their story. We don't go out deciding, okay, let's this year focus on this or that or the other theme. We pick the films and then decide what is floating to the surface. Those are the themes we deal with. We have a few more comments here, which I feel like I have to read for you. Linda Selman is saying, with all your planning, what occurred that made you have to change the direction your film was going in? I don't know who it is addressed to, Linda. Maybe she said it at a particular moment that one of you were talking, but I don't know who it is addressing now. And then we come back. Michael Clace is saying it's always great when the filmmakers give their time so we can appreciate their work even more. And Eve Pomeranz, who is on our jury, she's saying, Rex, feel free to contact me to discuss casting in the US. She's a casting director, and also Casting by Eve, www. Linda, great listening to you today, inspiring. Oh, Linda says she's addressing anyone. With all your planning, what occurred that made you have to change the direction of the film was going in? Because we all know that what we plan, it's one thing, but God's plan is another thing, and sometimes the two interfere, and then suddenly our plan has to make changes. So does anybody want to talk about that?
Yep. What happened for us, we had a 4-week shooting schedule, and then we shot for 3 weeks, and on the last week of filming, we were shut down by the COVID people. So that changed quite a few things, because the last week of filming was quite a lot of the intimate scenes and the scenes between the brother and sister. And it was actually a real gift, the whole thing. I know that sounds wrong, but we had 12 weeks to consider what we'd shot and what we had and what we needed to make the story really sing. And it was to the actual, you know, it made the film a better thing, because we could cut out, you know, we could move on from certain directions, we could reblock scenes, we could do a whole lot of things that we couldn't have done otherwise. And it was funny, the morning of this shoot, just before we were shut down, the atmosphere was wrong. You know, you could just see everything was sort of going a bit wrong. And the performances were a bit, because everyone was on edge, because we were wondering whether we would be shut down. And because of the insurance, we had to be officially shut down. We couldn't just pull the plug ourselves. So, yeah, but it was a gift. COVID, it played out.
Yeah, again, it's what you make of it and how you look at it. Yeah.
Yes.
And anyone else to address how a shift might happen and something else might get produced?
Well, there is an anecdote that it takes 4 years to get money, and the cameras are working 4 hours. So it is the reality with what we have to live, and I am begging every day and praying that the other part would be shorter.
Yes, that it's
with you.
Yes.
Well, sometimes it does happen. Miracles do happen. I
Yes.
believe in that. Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to keep your faith alive. That's the one
Yes,
thing we should all
absolutely.
agree about.
Yeah.
Because if we don't, and that's part of the festival's policy as well. Yes, we are focusing on all these horrible issues and people living miserable lives and the exodus and the human trafficking and the environment, that the earth is going to die and this and that. But if we only focus on the negative in these and don't hope that there is a light at the end of the tunnel, or maybe something is being done positive, or we do our own bit, then we should all just go and jump off of a cliff or something and hold hands first and then jump. Yeah. But we won't do that because we believe in what we're doing.
Yes,
So,
absolutely.
yeah. So I think we're over time, but then this is YouTube. If people don't want, they can just switch off if they haven't already. But this recording stays on our YouTube channel. So subscribe, everybody, if you haven't seen me do this like all the other YouTubers do. And you ring the bell or whatever it is that you need to do. So when we come up with new clips, you're always informed. And thank you everyone for watching today and asking questions to our filmmakers. Again, the festival starts March 16 and goes through the 20th in person, and then from the 20th to the 27th online, and all the information you need is on the website. You have to do a little bit of scouting because we can't put everything right at eye level. It's not possible to fit all that information right here. You need to go like that. You need to pull the button and do the, a little bit of searching. So there you go. Okay, everybody, I'm going to shut the broadcast, but we can